Hello all you people out there in TV land, my name is CB Studios, also known as Kurt, and today we're not checking out Ghostface, we're not having a look at horror props, we're stepping back into the MCU and taking a look at Iron Man. So today we're taking a look at an Iron Man prop. But Kurt, probably none of you are saying, because none of you watched my last MCU video, we've already seen an Iron Man helmet, it was the Killer Body one! That none of you watched, so this is probably going to be new to you regardless. But today I'm taking a look and I'm giving you a look at my Iron Man 1 Mark 1 helmet. Now this is a little bit different in the world of MCU props, as it's not the traditional red and gold, obviously. It's a little bit of a chunkier prop, and this isn't officially licensed. In fact, I didn't buy this from anywhere. This is an entirely 3D printed Iron Man helmet. Last year, I decided that I was going to start a new project, a project that I've wanted to do since about 2008, and I wanted to build an Iron Man suit. Now, Iron Man suits are quite complex, there's a lot of different parts and a lot of pieces that need to be done correctly on them. And really, the easiest way to go about it, or at least the most straightforward way to go about it, is to 3D print. I have many friends that own 3D printers, and in fact, I own a couple myself. But my big FDM, so my filament printer, has been broken since I got it, basically. So since about 2017 or 2016, I just never knew how to fix it. I figured I would take things into my own hands, and if I wanted to dress as Tony Stark, I was going to have to be Tony Stark. And so last year, in October, I think it was October, I pulled the whole thing apart, learned what was broken, and rebuilt it. And one of the first projects, big projects that I did, was this helmet. Now this helmet is entirely 3D printed, none of it has been cast or molded. The file is actually available for free on Thingiverse, and I'm going to put up a screenshot here of that, and I will drop the link down in the comments below. This model was originally split so that the front and back halves of the head, because it does open, were quartered. So there were 4 parts to each, and that made it really easy to print on my smaller 3D printer. My build volume is only 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 18 centimeters, so this whole thing fit without having to do any major cutting, additional cutting of the file. I'll throw in some photos now. As you can see, they were printed in sections, there was infill and support material built into the pieces, and each piece came off the print bed in grey filament and was then glued together and sanded. This is actually one of the first pieces that I've done with a new technique using photopolymer resin, so 3D printer resin that's cured via UV rays. And I actually brushed multiple layers of 3D printer resin onto this helmet. And that allowed me to sand it and fill it much easier than using something like car filler, or bog, as it's called in Australia, as it's much easier to sand and it goes on much thinner, tends to settle in the valleys rather than setting on the peaks, which means that trying to sand out 3D printer lines is a whole lot easier. Now this has been painted with a satin black base coat, and it was rub and buffed silver. It's actually a pewter color for the silver, because I wanted a little bit more of that aged look. I wanted it to look a little bit more like it was iron. And it was then weathered with acrylic paints over the top, and it turned out really well. We've got a couple of screws in the top. These are socket head screws, or Allen bolts, or mushroom screws, or some fucking name for us, I don't know. And they hold a hinge. And that's just a brass hinge that I've aged. And then I believe I painted it silver as well, just because. And we've got 2 magnets inside because this whole helmet opens up as the screen used one does. So I've lined it with leather, and these are just scraps of an old couch. And in fact, we've got it all separated, and I went in and dry brushed the inside just with some acrylic paints to give it a little bit more detail and aging and really show off those panel lines. These leather pieces were just done with masking tape on the inside of the mask. I cut that up to make a nice little pattern, divided it into the sections that I needed, stuck it down to the leather, cut it out with some seam allowance, and then just contact adhesived it in. And it worked perfectly. It looks exactly like Tony Stark's, and I'm really happy. In fact, I've got some nice little stenciling in here, which I'll show you close-ups of later, and that gives a really nice little extra bit of detail inside. Now it is currently wearable. In fact, it will fit a human head, which is awesome. Eventually I would love to do at least the chest and shoulder armor of the Mark 1, but I'd love to build the Mark 1 in its entirety. The full suit that I want to build though is the Mark 7 from the first Avengers film. Really enjoyed that film. But to give you an idea, it does fit on the head really comfortably. It doesn't have any padding or a harness in here yet. Sorry. It doesn't have any padding or a harness in here yet, but eventually it will have like a hard hat liner in there to hold it onto my head. That's about all from me, guys. I really wanted to get this video out. It's been on my list of things to do for so long, and having a couple of days off with COVID was an excellent opportunity to do it. Hopefully my voice hasn't been too raspy and nasally for you. We'll see once I'm editing this. It might be garbage, but the garbage will do. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Please feel free to subscribe should you wish. I've got a whole lot more Marvel content if you guys are interested. I'm happy to answer any questions about the build for this, but a lot of it was gone over in the video itself. This is a great project if you're a beginner to 3D printing and you want to do some Iron Man stuff, but getting that pristine, super clean car finish isn't within your skill range. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, Tony Stark built this in a cave! With a box of scraps! Oh, fuck. Shouldn't have done that.